The FIFA World Cup starts in a few days, and somewhere in a boardroom right now, a brand is putting the finishing touches on its World Cup campaign. A big ad, a flashy film, maybe a celebrity, timed perfectly to go live on opening day. And it will probably land flat. Not because it's bad, but because it's late. Welcome to Build to Brand, the show about why things work. Not what went viral, not what's trending, but the invisible decisions, the quiet architecture behind the brands, and moments that eventually look inevitable. I'm your host Tanvi, and today we're talking about fandom, specifically what separates brands that show up at big moments and brands that are already living inside them. The FIFA World Cup is the largest single sporting event on the planet. 5 billion people, 48 teams this year. A month of football across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And for brands, it is one of the most exciting stages in the world to play on. The kind of moment where a campaign can genuinely become part of the cultural memory, where people remember not just the goals, but the ads, the anthems, the moments that sat alongside the football. Because everyone shows up at once, the energy is total, and the audience, especially younger audiences, are fully in it. Eyes open, hearts in it, phones out. So here's the first principles question Build to Brand always asks. What belief is FIFA actually selling? It's not football, not really. FIFA sells belonging, the feeling that right now, whatever else is happening in your life, you are part of something that 5 billion other people are also part of. That shared simultaneity, the fact that we are all watching this together, is the product. And belonging cannot be purchased at the last minute. Which is exactly what makes a small but telling detail from Snapchat's India strategy so interesting. When Snapchat ran activations around IPL, cricket's biggest property, they built around live scores, match moments, real-time emotion, triggered ads, AR lenses, creator content timed to wickets and sixes. It worked. Brands felt present because they were reacting in real time. But when they started planning for FIFA, they said something else. We are not going to do the same thing. For football, they are deliberately not chasing match moments. Instead, they're building what they call fandom outside match hours. Community conversations, creator content, fan culture, before the whistle blows and long after the final score. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a platform strategy. But if you look at it through a build-to-brand lens, it's actually a belief system. Snapchat is saying cricket is an event, football is an identity. And that distinction matters enormously because you market to events very differently than you market to identities. Events are spikes. They have a start time and an end time. You can plan for them, activate around them, and measure them cleanly. But identities are continuous. They don't have a schedule. A football fan doesn't stop being a football fan when there is no match on. They are watching YouTube breakdowns at midnight. They are arguing in comment sections on a Tuesday. They are buying a kit for a team they've never watched live. Snapchat noticed this and made a structural decision. Don't just show up during the spike. Build presence in the baseline. That is what fandom as infrastructure means. Infrastructure isn't glamorous, it doesn't trend, but it is what everything else runs on. And here's the thing about infrastructure. You only notice it when it's missing. And you don't notice the brands that built genuine community until a World Cup arrives. And suddenly they're everywhere. And the brands that only showed up on day one are wondering why nobody cares. Snapchat's advertiser base in India grew 10 times in 2 years. That number gets reported as a growth metric, but it's actually evidence of something more structural. Brands beginning to trust a platform not for its reach, but for its cultural proximity to an audience that's hard to reach any other way. Gen Z on Snapchat aren't there for ads, they're there for their friends. That's the whole point. And a brand that figures out how to exist meaningfully in that space, not as an interruption, but as something that belongs, has built something genuinely hard to replicate. That's the architecture Snapchat is selling. And the smarter brands are buying it. Not for the World Cup campaign, but for everything that comes after. Because the tournament doesn't create fandom, it reveals who already built it. So as the World Cup kicks off, watch the brands, not just the football. Notice which ones feel like they belong and which ones feel like they bought a ticket at the door. The ones that feel inevitable, they started this conversation a long time ago. That's the architecture. That's Built to Brand. Built to Brand comes out every 2 weeks. Each episode, one brand, one moment, one idea, taken apart properly. That means a lot of reading, a lot of dead ends, and a lot of rewriting before something clicks into place. If you liked where this one went, following us on Spotify and YouTube Music genuinely helps the show reach more people who'd appreciate it. Built one episode at a time, and every follow matters more than you'd think. There's more architecture to unpack. See you in 2 weeks.